following thoughts, opinions, stories, and expressions are meant for those who will appreciate them. If you don't, we hope you keep an open soul to encounter another here on 34 Questions. Peace.
You know, more than anything, like I kind of mentioned, the reason why I wanted to do this again was to kind of have myself reflect on, like how I did last time with our last interview. Was like I looked back on it to see where I've changed, and I see that right now my headspace is a little bit, not necessarily darker, but it's just not as a happy-go-lucky mentality, being a little bit more realist.
3, 2, 1. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. I am your host, 34, and tonight I have a very special guest coming back to the show. Omar is in the building. How you doing tonight, Omar?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Everything good on this side?
For sure, man, for sure. Thank you again for stopping by and just being open to share your story. And I want to ask you again why you decided to come back on, just so for the folks out there who don't know your reason why, would love for you to explain it, because I think it is very valuable to the whole purpose behind 34 Questions as well, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, no, of course. The reason why I wanted to come back and do this again, besides the fact that it was fun to do it the first time, was there was a day where I went back and listened to what we had recorded a year ago, and I realized that my headspace, my mentality, my overall way of being had kind of changed a little bit. Where the first time we did this, it was a bit more happy-go-lucky, more excited, and just, I would say, overall happy about life. In the years since, there's been a bunch of ups and downs that have somewhat had an impact on how I am now operating as a human being at 25 years old, going on 26 in half a year. And I just wanted to do this again so that I can, a year from now or 5 years from now, look back and see where I'm at. This platform has been a good stepping stone for me to reflect on my life and kind of give myself key points on where do I need to improve, and in what things, more or less, to kind of say that life is unpredictable and you think you're going to be one way forever, but realistically it can always change. And I apologize in advance if I get tongue twisted. I do that all the time. My mind's working 100 miles an hour and my mouth doesn't move as fast, so I apologize.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way. And yeah, man, the reason you coming back, it sounds hella deep to me. I think it's what the platform is meant for us to be able to look back and, for even our descendants to look back at us. But most importantly, getting what we can out of it as we live. But before we jump into it, I want to tell the folks out there, today's not going to be our usual episode since Omar is a guest returning, but we will turn to the Wheel of Fate, give it a few spins. As usual. But before that, man, I just want to ask you, if you want to talk about them, what kind of ups and downs have you been through since in the past year? If you want to talk,
I can definitely. I'm an open book. I never hold back from controversy, as they say. I would say that this past year, health-wise, my health has declined a lot. I've had some health issues that I'm currently still going to the doctor for, trying to find solutions to my problems, because unfortunately I'm in a bracket of people who goes to the doctor and they can't really tell you what's wrong with you. Whether it's something like I've been dealing with a headache for 2 years. It's an everyday headache, 24 hours a day. and the severity of the headache varies depending. It's just random, and so learning to live with a constant pain without having solutions, it's a life-changing thing. I wouldn't say necessarily for the better, because no one wants to be in pain, and this is not something I would want anybody to deal with, but it's what I deal with, and still fighting, still trying to find a solution, and hopefully we'll find one. There's that. I've had some falling outs with some friends who I considered very close to me, and the falling out has been a result of me thinking I'm in a safe space to be myself with them and crack jokes that I think are funny, or talk some BS with you, and maybe go back and forth, kind of giving you a hard time, expecting you to give me a hard time, and me thinking that this is a way to kind of be a guy and be a friend. And it has cost me, because I've come to realize that not everybody likes my sense of humor, and that's vice versa, because I don't like certain people's sense of humor. I don't get certain people's jokes, and I was just blinded to the fact, I thought, because I've been friends with a certain person for years and years of my life, that you kind of accept me for who I am. And I'm realizing that that's not how life works, and it's cost me, because the older you get, the harder it is to make a friend. And being that I'm an only child, well, I'm an adult now, but I don't have siblings. I don't really have a tight connection with my cousins. It's a pretty lonely life. So to kind of go about your life alone, and having to lose people and then make you feel a little bit more alone, it's rough. So I still look at the positive side of things. I know I'm a good person. I know that I might be misunderstood at plenty of times, but I don't take things to heart anymore, because at the end of the day, I know that in here in my heart, I have good intentions. So that's all I can say.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
It's well, damn, man, sounds like you've had a hell of a year. Just even talking about what's going on with your health. It definitely sucks when the doctor just says, like, oh, we just got the best guess, like we don't know for sure. We don't know what's gonna work. We don't, like, you could do experimental shit if you like, but even that's not guaranteed. Things can go wrong that way. I understand that, man. And I'm sorry you got to go through it. And I mean, it's cool that you can still kind of like operate normally, even though you get these headaches and you're going through it mentally.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then talking about falling outs, I had one probably. I never like to label it, but if anyone's gonna call it anything, it'd be a falling out with some homies as well. In that case, I kind of I like to think that I worn out my welcome kind of thing, and maybe they didn't see me as somebody that was going to be progressing in the same direction they were. And it's like, we see it all the time on social media. You cut off the people that you don't feel like are going to take you to where you want to be, type shit, right?
100%.
Yeah, so you see that. And even for me, when you talk about like cracking jokes, and I'm on like the other end of that, I would say, where I was the person that I was always like getting cracked jokes on. And for me, it's like, it's the same jokes over and over again. So I kind of was like, if it's the same jokes all the time, it's like, it gets repetitive. So
yeah, and it gets, and sorry to interrupt real quick. That reminds me of a quote that my uncle says all the time, because we have people in our family who, they tend to do the same thing. They rag on you a little too long, or say the same thing over and over. It's happened to me. I've been the one to do it. Obviously, I've done it with friends and stuff like that. And when you're doing it, you don't really realize it. But the quote is, the first time was funny, but the second and third time, that's too much. In other words, saying like, we heard you the first time, move on.
Sure.
Because the laugh only works once. You know, you can say the same thing every so often, and you'll get a joke, you know, and get a laugh reaction out of it. But more than that, I've realized that, you know, it's not that funny after a while. You know, basically that's what I want to say.
If you know, please stop me if my questions get too deep. But were you guys able? Were you guys able to like talk it out and kind of like agree on like maybe our friendship ain't a thing no more? But because I don't think I ever got to do that, and I don't think I really want to end the friendship. I don't. It's just more so like, you know, if you're gonna keep doing that, then we can't kick it as often, because I feel like, you know, I'm getting used to that. So were you guys able to talk it out, or it was just kind of like it took its natural course?
It took its natural course. Unfortunately, I didn't think in the moment the way I acted was, you know, I don't think it warranted losing a friend. You know, I think it was just me trying to be funny and being stupid and talking smack, but it wasn't to the extent of, you know, I'm disrespecting your family, I'm disrespecting, you know, you as a man. You know, it was more so stuff of, you know, oh, you listen to this type of music, you wear this, you wear those type of shoes and stuff like that. And realistically, it's one of those things where if I rag on you, it's because I feel very comfortable with you. You know, it's because I consider you my brother. I consider you, you know, I just think that's the idea of being a guy. It's the way I've been brought up. Now, I'm not saying it's right, but again, my intentions are never to offend. It's just like I try to be funny. And in this situation, I did apologize to my friend the day after it happened, just because I was, you know, I wasn't really paying attention. It was just the heat of the moment type of thing. And the next day I sent him a text saying, hey, you know, thanks for coming over. You know, I'm sorry for any smack I was talking. You know, I had one too many to drink that night, and you know, it was just me talking smack. And my friend said, "Oh, it's all good." And slowly the contact started becoming less and less, and then I would hit him up for little things or just to check in, and I would get more one-way responses, you know, where a conversation doesn't really follow. And the bottom, you know, the end of the line for that was my birthday came along in January. I didn't get a message from him until maybe a week or so after my birthday. I ended the message with, we should catch up sometime. Nothing. And then one day I was on Instagram and checking, you know, my followers and stuff like that, because I realized that he wasn't interacting with my stuff no more, stuff that like shoes and music and stuff like that. And I realized that he had unfollowed me. And so, you know, I'm not one that gets offended with social media stuff, but I do understand that in this day and age, that is, that's like cutting you off, you know? And so I didn't, as much as he meant to me as a friend, I didn't go chase him and didn't go try to beg him to be my friend. I didn't feel the need. I just, although I was hurt from it, there was nothing I can do. You know, I know I didn't do anything with ill intentions, and I know that I did apologize for the day after. He obviously didn't understand that and thought it was better to not be my friend, and well, no, I don't have a friend, so it is what it is. You know, life goes on.
No, for sure, man. And I mean, the way things kind of played out with at least the homies that I felt like were progressing further than I was, or in a different direction. Even now, like, you know, we saw each other at a mutual friends party, and you know, we, like, I guess for me, I stay optimistic and hopeful, and you know, maybe we can connect and be like, oh, you know, you at this part, like maybe we should kick it again. But I think after 4 years or something that's passed, you know, people have definitely changed, and maybe the vibe isn't there anymore. So I hear you, man. It definitely happens. It's real shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just gonna add, you know, like you, I don't have any ill will. If I were to run into this person again, it's all love. I don't stop giving love because, at the end of the day, I still cherish the memories that I had with that guy growing up and rekindling the friendship and the years that we did have as adults, as friends.
Yeah.
But I don't wish harm on him, or I don't wish, anything negative towards him. It is what it is. Life goes on.
No doubt. One thing you also mentioned earlier to me was that you felt like the interview from last year was more happy-go-lucky. And then now it's more, I wouldn't say serious, but just, I guess, how would you describe it? if you could.
How would I describe it? I feel like I'm just taking life for what it is. I think I've gone through life growing up thinking it was this thing that just gets better with time. I kind of thought the idea that life gets better with time, and it does for some people, and it does in certain cases. I'm not saying life is horrible or anything to that extent. It could always be worse, but I've realized that in these past, in the year that I've, since I did the last interview, I've been waiting for an opportunity for things to look up, in different aspects of my life, whether it's my health, whether it's my social life, whether it's my work life. And I've been just kind of waiting for the come up, and it just hasn't come, and that's not to say it doesn't come. People say that patience is a virtue, and all things do come with time and with hard work and dedication. But then I also realized in talking to people that I've crossed paths with casually, that sometimes life is just, this is what it is. This is all there is sometimes. You're not gonna walk down the street and find the end of the rainbow necessarily. That's not to say you can't live a great life and can't live a comfortable life and be happy within that. But I've always been the one that has dreamed of finding the gold at the end of the rainbow. And, I think I'm in a position now where I'm learning to just be comfortable where I'm at. I still strive for, that's not to say I'm still striving for something better, but there's certain things that I feel I'm starting to realize that are unattainable. And it's the acceptance of that I'm slowly coming to grasp with, if that makes sense.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
I always hesitate to ask these questions because I don't know what's going to be too far, but what's maybe one of those dreams or aspirations that you feel like you had to let go of because you don't feel like it's attainable?
That would be, I think about that one because honestly, there's a lot of them.
I got you.
Whereas I think the last time we spoke, I said that the music thing was kind of out of reach and kind of over. I think I feel more optimistic with that right now. There are a couple of projects that I'm working with. I did get back into the booth, and hopefully by next year, something will pop off with that. I've realized that that's a dream I'm not ready to let go of.
I hear you.
But for example, and that was a gold at the end of the rainbow situation that I thought a year ago, I didn't think that was attainable. Now I think that I'm more open to that idea happening in some capacity, whether it's a 50-person show or 100,000 person show, whatever that may be, whatever the size, some level of that is attainable. But like, for example, something that I think is unattainable for me at this point in my life is, I think, just finding A group of friends, I think. A group of friends is something I've always wanted. And I had it as a kid, you know. I had it as a kid. I had a good group of friends when I was a kid growing up until about the 4th grade. And then from the 4th grade on, I had maybe one best friend, and then that fell through. And then as an adult, you know, I would say age 16 and above to right now, that's 11 years. I don't really have a friend in the world, you know, and it's not something I'm afraid to say. It's something I talk about a lot, you know, with people. I do have acquaintances. I do have friends, you know, I do have some type of friend, you know, where I'll get invited to go to a bar, or I'll get invited to go to lunch, or, you know, once in a while you'll get someone to hang out with. But I've always wanted like a group of friends. Like since a kid, I've always been in love with the Sandlot, and I always wanted to be their 10th guy. You know, I think it was nine guys in total. I always wanted to be that 10th, you know, that brotherhood. And I think that stems from being an only child and not having anyone, you know, the rest of the day, with the exception of school, you know, just being by yourself. And I just feel like at this point in my life, it's not going to happen. I feel like the way society is moving now, we are becoming more and more antisocial, and life revolves mostly around the phone. So I just feel like it didn't happen, you know, and I'm coming to grasp with that. And instead of being a pessimist about it and that being something that brings me down, I'm just learning to accept it one day at a time.
Got you. And you know, I don't want to tell you how to feel, right? Like that's not my purpose. But I would say, man, you know, let me try to give you some hope. Let me try to give you some light. Yeah, I would agree that, you know, the way society is kind of, you know, everything is behind the screen. And that, you know, one of the new questions that I had was like, is it harder to make friends as an adult versus as a kid, you know? And for some people, that answer is different for everybody. But yeah, I mean, as far as like, you know, like at work, some people have their work crew being that kind of, that it's like a friends not by choice kind of thing, you know, like family not by choice. So work, I don't know, do you feel any camaraderie there? Or are you basically solo the whole time?
Yeah, well, before I answer that question, I just want to say with me, anything goes. You can ask me whatever. You can ask, I'm an open book, and I don't believe in off-limit stuff. So you can ask me, you can free fire whatever it is. I don't get offended by a question. So I'm just letting you know.
All right, sure.
So my situation with work is as follows. You know, I work in a company that 99.9% of the time I'm by myself, you know. And, you know, the only person who I bond with is my father, because my father is the owner of the company, and I'm kind of his right-hand man at this moment. It took years to get to this position, but I'm his right-hand man now. So we've built this camaraderie that is no longer father and son. It's more so like a friend, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Where we can say pretty much whatever it is we want with each other. And I think that's great. You know, I think that's a friend, you know, besides my father, that's my friend. But the thing is that my father's not the type that if I want to go to a bar and have a drink, he won't go. He doesn't do that type of stuff. Or go to a baseball game, or go to the studio and make some music. Whatever the activity is, you know, there's certain limits to how far that friendship goes. Besides that, the other employees of the company, I don't interact with them. Everybody else is older than I am, has their own lives, and is worried about their own thing. And there's no room for little conversation. So I'm the type of person who does live, alone. Alone 99.9% of the time. It's just me, and it's been like that for years. I learned to adjust. But just because you learn how to live a certain way doesn't mean you wish it could be different.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Mm-hmm.
How about like, maybe the folks you work with with music, like that you don't feel like there's a connection there, or it's just more business than it is like, personal. Cause I've been there too, like I don't think cause in my mind I think of like the pursuits that we try to do can lead us into a community, right? And within that community is where you can kind of find that friendship if people are looking, are open to that. But yeah, so for yourself, pursuing music again, which I'm happy to hear that, you're doing that. And I think, what you're going through is probably like, music is an outlet for sure to get your thoughts out and your feelings out about it. But yeah, so in that realm, do you feel like there's been, maybe some kind of connection ruined?
I would say no. The opportunities that I have now with music, I'm not going to disclose too much of that just because
sure.
I'm not ready to disclose that. Not because I'm holding anything back. It's just it's not ready yet. The project's not ready yet. But I'll say that the people that have opened this new door and this, I guess, second chance in the music are people that I care about, people that I consider friends, even though they are part of my family, but they've opened a new lane that I was not exposed to. But even though, they've opened this door for me and they are people that I care about, we don't interact as much. So without constant interaction, it's hard to build a locked-in bond. The most that it comes to will be a conversation once a week, once every other week, once a month, just checking in how things are going, some feedback on the music that's coming out of the studio, and that's as far as it goes. Now, when I get to see these people, these individuals face to face, it's a different story. Obviously, we go out to drink, we have a good time, we chit chat, but these are also people that are not close to me. They are miles and miles and miles away. So also distance plays a factor in all of this. But so the music essentially, although the door is opened by somebody else, the process is being done by me, if that makes any sense.
Got you. I got you. And I don't want to stay on this topic for too long. But like, I think, I don't know if you're open to it, but I think like, even like, do you feel like you put yourself out there enough to create these new connections? Like, in my mind, right, if I had the time to meet new folks and kind of like, so for everyone out there who's having a hard time, building that connection and having friends as adults, I've been so lucky to just be connected to folks from my past to now, and that kind of has created my like constant friend group. What sucks for me is that everyone's in a different like universe, pretty much. Like, I have my homie from way back, I have my homie from maybe college years, then I have my homies from like old jobs. So they're all not connected, and it kind of sucks that it's I know, like, I don't know if they just were considered just acquaintances now, just because that's how often we see each other and everything. So I don't know if you have that as far as like acquaintances too, that you just kind of check up on every once in a while, maybe meet up every once in a while. But yeah, as far as getting out there, like, I don't know if there's any like sports leagues that you want to be a part of, or any any kind of community that you can kind of just do events with. Because in my mind, if I was in your position trying to find folks, I would be just showing up to all these different places, right? Like if it's I like sports, so I do a sports league, and I just keep showing up until they're like, hey, we noticed that you've been here a lot. You know, who are you? Kind of thing. But yeah, is that something you feel like you're open to, or you've already tried, didn't work out?
I'm definitely open to stuff like that. I've put myself in situations like that. There's been no success up until now. And I'm not saying that it's impossible for other people. I would say that for people in similar situations as mine, where they feel like they really don't have a friend and it's mostly just acquaintances, you know, don't stop putting yourself out there. You know, I'm the type of person that I just haven't had success. And at this point in my life, I'm not going to go and chase it like I have been for many years. I'm comfortable with accepting that, you know, I have acquaintances, you know, because I look at the acquaintances that I have that I consider, you know, my friends, because it's the best it's going to come to. And, you know, I realize that some people don't even have that, you know, and so I'm okay with that, you know, I'm okay with that. I'm not too fond of, at this point in my life, throwing myself out there. And not anymore. And it's not to say that I never will do it. It could be that I'll wake up tomorrow and I say, you know what, let's go do this. But
just at this
I
point.
just don't, at this point, I just don't want to invest in doing that anymore.
I feel you, man. And no worries. Like, I mean, you know, it's, I guess I just wanted to put my 2 cents in, but I get you. And, you know, a year from now, we check in again, you know, like, and just last year it was totally different. So, but yeah, for sure. We'll head to the Wheel of Fate now. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Here we go. Give it a spin, and let you know what number, because I'm pretty sure you can't see it.
No, I can't, but you let me know.
Number 31, man. Number 31.
31. All
right. So, how high are your walls? Like, you know, when we meet people, we don't give them our full selves right away. Like, you know, people code switch, all that. So for you, when you meet new folks, like, how are you like your authentic self all the time, or, you know, you kind of try to gauge the situation before you show people who you really are?
I think I'm one of those people that gauges the situation. You know, I would say within the first minute of interacting with someone is enough to judge the person. Is this someone you want to open up to? Someone you want to, you know, keep your distance from? I'm the type of person that if I feel like you're interested in the conversation and what I'm telling you, then I will not hold back and open more and more. Sometimes I think a common problem with myself is I open up a little too much, or I say a little too much because I get excited with the interaction, and that ends up biting me in the ass. But, you know, I do also know how to keep myself guarded. You have to gauge the situation. I do feel that it is important for anybody to take that into consideration, because I've also met people who you meet them for the first time and they'll tell you their whole life story, and it's like some of that information they should have kept to themselves, you know. Or it's to think, you're telling me this, what makes you think I wouldn't tell somebody else? Not that I personally would, but who knows that how do you know that the next person won't and use that against you? So for me, to answer the question, it varies. And I think that everybody should take that into consideration. Don't just open up to whoever, you know, have your limits. That's just my opinion though.
No, I got you, man. And I think similarly, like for me, the way I get excited talking to people in that sense, because I think it has to do with a lot about, being only children, and we're in the same club in that aspect. And I'm not trying to say, like, I think everyone's has their own uniqueness as far as how they grew up. Left-handed people are special too, right? They're
Yes, they
they're
are.
different.
Yes, they are.
So, yeah, as far as being an only child, how do you think that kind of affects? Like, I think I'm affected the way I overly try to get to know people. I'm always asking the question. I'm trying to find out who they are, like, right away. And I think it's just because I'm curious about their story, and, like, in my mind, that's I grew up watching TV. TV was like my brother or sister, growing up. So it was like stories, finding people's backgrounds, the character development. That's all. Like, that's why I enjoy doing what I do, and having people on 34 Questions, getting to know all these different stories. For you, it sounds like maybe it's the other way, where, like, you like to, let yourself, express yourself and try to make that connection with folks. I think I do the same, where I feel like I overshare is when I'm trying to put out a situation that I feel like is relatable, so then that person can, be like, oh yeah, I'm relatable to this person too, and we can connect that way. But it doesn't always land, since, like you said, sometimes people are like, oh, that's a little too much. I don't know if you feel that way. What makes you feel like you're oversharing sometimes?
I think it's that thing where I finally find something in common with you, and I kind of drill it into the dirt. And what I mean by that is, like, I over talk about that one thing, because it's like, I've realized that myself. I don't, every only child that I've interacted with prior to myself has a different outlook on life. Some are comfortable where they're at, some are not. Like myself, I wish things would have been different. The thing with me is that I have a lot of interests that are not very, I would say, very popular, in the sense of my music taste is all over the place. Like, for example, my favorite music right now at this very moment is Spanish love songs. I love Spanish love songs. I listen to Spanish love songs all the time. My favorite artists are, I love Elvis Presley, Marvin Gaye. I like watching old movies, and what I'm getting at with that is that not too many people, at least in my age group, share those same interests. So in conversation, when I do find something that we kind of connect with, in whatever it is, it could be something minor, I try to just, hold that connection together in that moment and not let it go. But the problem is that it's kind of like the thing of, if you have the Giants on your hat and all I'm doing is talking about the Giants, it's like, all right, dude, I like the Giants, but I don't love them. I don't want to sleep with the Giants. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And so a lot of times that's where the oversharing kind of kills the conversation, where I speak too much on that, and I'm trying to kind of impress, and because I know that I can't interact with you on any other thing. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, for sure. Yeah.
And that's a problem, because I have a lot of different interests, but I feel like my interactions have been very one-sided, where it's like I'm trying to figure out about you and see where I can kind of connect with you, but the people that I've interacted with don't necessarily feel the same with me, and that's a problem too. I think that's a problem more so with society, where they're at, where everybody's very much about themselves, very selfish, very about me, and not a lot of people take the time to get to know somebody else, and kind of pick at their brain a little bit. As you can tell, I can talk a lot, and I can talk for hours and hours, and it's because I have a lot to say. I have a lot of different topics that I'm fond about, but I feel people kind of lose interest on the first topic of conversation that we're having, not knowing that behind like the next chapter of the conversation is something that might blow your mind, you know. But no one ever takes the time to pick my brain, and I feel like that's common with just people in general. You know, people just don't take the time to really get to know you. They judge you off of one interaction that you've had with them, not knowing that, you know, you may not have liked me for the first interaction, but if you give me a second chance, you'll realize that I'm a great guy and I have a lot to offer. That kind of sounds like a dating profile or something like that, but that's not what I mean. But it's like, but I think that's something that us people need to work on, you know. Like, I think of you know, we'll move on to the next topic after this, but I kind of like, I think of all the older people who are stuck in like those living facilities, you know, like the old folks homes. And I think about those people who have so many stories to tell, that they've lived whole lives, good and bad, and no one ever takes the time to listen to them. And a lot of those stories, I bet you, are fascinating and will blow your mind, but no one ever takes the time to listen to these people. You know, I'm a person who is fascinated by you know, the OG's stories. You know, I can listen to stories of even the most basic thing. Just tell me how, you know, the cars used to be, or tell me how gas used to cost a nickel. You know, stuff like that. I'm open to that. But a problem with society is that we don't take the time to hear other people. If it's not something we immediately are grasped with in the conversation, they'll leave. But sometimes you got to wait it out a little bit before the good stuff comes, you know? And so until we change that, I think that we're still going to be in this kind of world of me. But I don't think it's impossible to change it. Just people have to have an open mind.
For sure. And man, it's just like, the homies that I keep in touch with, sometimes they'll tell me I'm out of touch with reality, because the way I kind of have set up my life is that I don't meet new people in that way. You know, new people I meet is probably on this podcast where they're more open and, like, you know, that we have this mutual, I guess, you know, conversation, right? So aside from them, I hang out with the homies, like I said, I've known for a few years. And I have my family and my girl and, like, her family. Those are the people I interact with all the time. So as far as what you're saying, and, like, you know, I don't know if it's that, like, I'm out of touch with reality, or, like, you know, I'm 32, going 33 next year. And you said you were 25 right now.
Going on 26 next year, in January.
Do you think that it's me being out of touch with reality, or is it our generation? Like, I wouldn't call it a gap, but I would say, you know, with where your age group is and the people you interact with most, and versus the 30-year-olds that I interact with, there's that difference. Like, because I'll like to give you some more light. I want to say when you reach that 30-year-old peak, that more people turn that off, as far as, like, not wanting to know other people. Like, I feel like you're just kind of ahead of the curve in where that you want that right now, but nobody else does. And then maybe when you get older, you're gonna see that more people are starting to feel the way you do, you know? I don't know, but
okay, so before I answer that, like, elaborate. In what sense do they think you're out of touch when they say that about you?
Well, because I'm still very optimistic when there's a lot of things going around, like, in society that's, you know, can be depressing. That can be very, like, well, the world's going to shit kind of thing, right? But for me, I still have, like, you know, I'm still very crazy motivated to show that there is some kind of, like, thing that's we as people, society or whatever, can change and do to be more than that. you know, like, and I think the feeling of, you know, what my homies have as far as, oh, things are going to shit is more how people feel right now. But I don't know, man, like for me, I just can't let go of that. Like, you know, we were talking about letting go of things. That's something I haven't let go of. No matter the older we get, it gets a little bit harder. I'm still very much so like, nah, we can turn it around. But yeah, I think having that energy kind of helps me when I interact with people, because like, you know, that they think I'm crazy like that, and they're more like, oh, cool, he's whatever, he's just crazy. But yeah, so
I don't think you're crazy for that. I think that's the way you're built, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, for contrast, my mom is happy-go-lucky all the time. My mom is, on a dark day, she thinks that there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm the one that says, like, how can you be so happy all the time? How can you be so optimistic all the time? You know, and sometimes we've argued over that. You know, I think we need people like you, and I think it's good that there's people like you out there, and there's plenty of people who are optimists and who think it's never too late to change a situation. You know, that creates a balance. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You know, we all live our lives for ourselves. You know, at the end of the day, nothing that anybody can tell me is going to necessarily be something that I'm going to do. You know, if someone tells me jump off a bridge, I don't have to do it. You know, and so what I'm getting at with that is, you just have to be you. Whether people like it or not, you have to be you. You know, if you feel comfortable being the happy person, don't let somebody tell you why are you so happy all the time. You should be sad more. You know, I'm that person, but you shouldn't listen to me. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm having a shitty day, if I'm having a headache, if I'm irritable, I might look at you and think, what the F are you smiling at? You know, the world sucks. Why? Because I'm dealing with my own personal pain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't think you should feel ashamed of it. I don't think you should be, if anything, you should just embrace it, you know, but also be conscious that people are not going to agree with you all the time. You know, I think that's another problem that we have with, you know, this generation coming forward, is that you can only be on one side or the other. We can never find any common ground. And I think that's what really lacks in I almost said like our youth, but you know, just the people who are the future, whether it's us included or those a little bit younger. You know, throughout this pandemic, we've heard a lot of, you know, the left and the right, and whether it's politics, whether it's race, whether it's whatever you want to call it. And I think everyone's entitled to their own opinion, you know, but I think that people should be more open to hearing what the other person has to say and not argue. Just be open-minded to find somewhat of a common ground or a peaceful existence. Will it happen? I don't know. But I'm the type of person that I may not agree with you, but if I listen to your story, I may understand where you're coming from and maybe have a different perspective on you. But you have to take the time. That's all I have to say about that. Sorry, man.
No,
I go on a lot of tangents, so you know.
Hey,
I
man.
apologize.
No, I feel you. I think you know, that's another thing with only children, is like we want to be heard. You know, as much as I am an introvert outside of the podcast, I created one so I could speak into a mic so people can hear me, you know? I talk very low and in person, so people are always telling me like, man, you got to speak up more. But, you know, just I've been a quiet person. That's who I am outside of, you know, without this mic in my face, you probably wouldn't be able to hear me. But yeah, no, and as far as embracing it, for sure, I think I'm definitely, as and that's another thing about getting older, man. Like maybe you already, since you're ahead of the curve on that, you might be ahead of the curve on this. You just start embracing who you are more and more, and like it sounds like you already are that. Cause it was like, I like what I like the music now. I don't care, you know. It sucks that no one else around me is listening to what I'm listening to, but you know, it doesn't change. That doesn't change what I like. So yeah, as you get older, as I've gotten older, being the optimistic person and being, you know, I guess just more like if I'm gonna go left or right as far as, you know, being a little more pessimistic versus being more optimistic, I'm very more optimistic. And there's another word, there's an in-between word that I want to say that I'm at. I forgot what it was between optimistic and pessimistic. But that's where I like to think I'm at right now. But yeah, man, I think just a heads up, we have about like 10 minutes left in the pod, and
all right.
I wanted to do a quick this is a new thing that you never done in the previous episode, because things change here on 34 Questions, but it's called the 34th mantra.
All right.
I'm gonna ask you to fill in I am, I can, I will. That phrase, I am blank, I can blank, I will blank. All right.
I am, I can, I will.
Yeah. So I am blank, I can blank, I will blank. You let me know when you're ready, and then I'm gonna put you into that screen. So yeah, let me know whenever you're ready, man.
I am. That's a tough. Hold on, give me a second. I wasn't expecting that.
Take a second. And remember, like, I know you might be like, oh man, how am I gonna represent myself on this video right now? But it's who you are right now at this moment, and a year from now, we'll come back to it, and you know, maybe things will change then too.
All right. I am. I can. I'm having problems with I can. I can is the one that's stuck. I already figured out the last two, but let me think of I can. Give me a couple more seconds on it.
Take your time, man. Take your time.
Well, it's I will. No, I am.
I can. I will.
I can. Dude, I don't know something for I can. I can't. Well, give me examples of like what people have used. Like, cause I'm sorry that I'm blanking out right now. Like, I'm really trying to.
Oh, it's all good, man. I mean, you know, people have used I can accomplish all things. I can try to understand more. I can do 10 more push-ups every day. You know, those are just like random ones people have kind of said.
I got it.
All right.
I got it.
Got you. So I'm gonna switch you over to the screen.
It's like, wait. I am. Some more.
I can. I will.
All right.
All right,
let's do it.
Here you go. I'll go for it, man.
All right. I am misunderstood. I can listen more. And I will find happiness.
Show, man. And if you ever need a reminder, now you got that little soundbite of yourself. Maybe even chop that up, put it in a song in the future, if you're feeling it. Yeah. Thank you for participating, and I hope you know it is of value to you.
Definitely, 100%.
So one thing I wanted to say about what you said before we did that 34th mantra was, you know, as far as finding that community, it sounded like you were kind of describing what you were looking for, you know, in some parts of the conversation, the situations you were bringing up, or even just the scenarios, sounded like, you know, hopefully those are the kind of people that can come into your life. And, you know, like I said, man, I'm hopeful. Hopefully in a year from now, you can kind of update me and tell me like, yo, man, actually there are some cool folks that I met. But like you said, I don't think you have to force it. I think, if you want to approach life the way you want to approach it, you do you, and like things will fall into place. Just I would just say, I hope I leave you with 0.1% hope. Going forward, doesn't have to be a big change or nothing. But I want that for you, and I want it to see it happen. I want it to be manifested and all that good stuff. But that can't happen unless you don't let go of it completely too. But yeah, any last things you'd like to bring up or add, before we head out of here?
No, I mean, just thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think that this platform is great for that, for those who don't have someone to talk to or to express themselves. Like I said, we all have stories. We all have things to say. We all have different life experiences, and not enough people take the time to hear us out. And I think that that's the reason why we have so much hate, so much, negativity, is because a lot of people don't have an outlet to, just be heard. It doesn't have to be the deepest life story. It doesn't have to be the darkest things you've been through, but sometimes it's just what you did today, that a simple 5-minute conversation could go a long way. And I think I would close this out, for whoever does listen to this, is that, in the same way that people may reach out to you and see how you're doing, don't forget to reach out to people just to see how they're doing, even if they are just an acquaintance. They don't have to be your best friend. They don't have to be your, whatever. They just, a simple hello, simple 10-second interaction, just for people to know, hey, I was thinking about you, and vice versa, someone was thinking about me. It goes a long way. And the sooner that we kind of realize that as a whole, the better off we'll be. And so, like I said, I just want to thank you for the opportunity, for letting me speak on here again. And I think what you're doing is great. I think that you got to continue doing this, because we just need it. So I'll leave it at that.
I appreciate it, man. Definitely. Thank you for the juice. And I also almost want to open the door for you as well. You talked about earlier about reaching out to, like senior folks and whatnot, and trying to get their stories on something like this. Yeah. I mean, to be real with you, is something I definitely want to be like, I want it to be a part of the growth path of 34 Questions. So I don't know what your schedule is like. I don't know if, with work, with music, and with everything else going on in your life, if you have time or room for something like that. However, if it is something you're passionate about, which sounded like you are, and you just kind of need the avenue, or kind of need just like the guidance of how to get started, let me know. My idea behind 34 Questions is not just me doing it forever. I want like a bunch of folks doing it too. It's like 34 Questions with Omar, kind of thing. But if totally understandable if you want to do your own thing with it too. But yeah, it's I just want to let you know that at any point, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, you're like, I'm ready to do something like that, let me know, and then we'll try to figure it out, man, because I just haven't had enough time to be reaching out to senior homes and trying to offer the services. Like I did a little bit, and I kind of did it with church groups too, just because I know there's a lot of old folks that go to church, right? And
definitely.
I want to get their stories as well. I don't know, and it's like I'm interviewing you for this job right now, but do you speak any other languages? Or
I speak Spanish.
Bruh, so yeah, like if you want to tell those stories, because that is something that I feel like it sucks that I don't know any other languages for me to do that. But anyways, if you're not interested, you could tell whoever else who might be interested in doing something like that. But yeah, man, I want to thank you again for coming through, opening up, and for trusting me, bro. Like honestly,
100%.
It warms my heart, you know, to feel like he can do that with me, and vice versa. Like I want to tell you, like, well, I'll tell you off camera, but yeah, any maybe shout outs you want to give, or if not, it's all good. Maybe meet more of your music where people can find it.
The music, not yet. It's to be announced.
Okay. Top secret.
Yeah,
top secret.
They're top secret. I mean, it's gonna be something that when this pops off, it's all or nothing. It's full force. In terms of shout outs, just shout out to whoever's listening. Thank you for taking the time, and I hope that in some part of me rambling and talking all this stuff that I talked about, some good, some bad, you find something that you connect with, you know? And yeah, that's the only shout out I can give, man.
Sure, man. I want to thank all the folks out there who tuned in, watching on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're catching the podcast. Definitely appreciate your time as well. Please like if you might, share if you care, subscribe for a vibe you didn't know was there. Remember to reach out, reach forward. As always, much love, and we'll catch you guys next time on 34 Questions.
Right on.
Peace.
Peace.
And then it fades out from there, man.